Hello kids, today we're going to be taking our notes on finding volume of rectangular prisms. First I'm going to have you start on the output side of your notebook. I'm going to have you write a question, which is, what is volume? Okay, so that's our output question. And we might remember some of the things that we talked about together during our meeting, and you can use any of that. Okay? So in Spanish, en español, en geometría vamos a hablar de volumen y la pregunta es ¿qué es volumen? Y en particular estamos hablando de las figuras geométricas. So just take a few minutes, write a few ideas. You may also pause the video. And when you're ready, we are going to go take our notes. On the next side, we're going to be taking notes how we used to in class using an idea map. Okay, so in the center of your map, we're going to be placing our idea that we're focusing on, which is finding volume of rectangular prisms. Okay, so make a nice circle on that. And yes, we're going to put our 4 quadrants using those lines. Okay, so hoy estamos aprendiendo cómo vamos a encontrar el volumen de las prisms rectangulares. Okay, de las figuras rectangulares de 3 dimensiones. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be talking about is our vocabulary. So I'm going to close up on this part for vocabulary. So la primera parte que vamos a hablar es vocabulario. So our vocabulary or vocabulario, this week we're focusing on this idea of finding the volume. Okay, so finding the volume. What is volume? For geometry, volume is how much 3D space an object occupies. Okay, so how much 3D space an object occupies. What does that mean, occupies? That means how much space it takes up. Okay, so when we measure volume, we don't use a one-dimensional line. We don't use a two-dimensional square. We use a cubic unit, which is a 3D, three-dimensional, tres dimensiones, three-dimensional shape or unit, okay, called a cubic unit. A cube is a cubic unit. A cube or a cubic unit. Okay, so this cubic unit is a 3D shape, and if I were to draw it, I'm going to be talking about how we draw it. So I'm going to draw a square, then I'm going to draw another square right below, and then I'm going to connect these lines, and there's my three-dimensional cube, okay? And they call it 3 dimensions because it has 3 dimensions, right? So it has units going backwards, units going sideways, and units going up. And if this was a centimeter, it would be a centimeter times a centimeter times a centimeter. So these would be centimeters cubed, 3 dimensionals, okay? Okay, this is called cubed. Okay? I'm going to take some moment to underline some important vocabulary. So it has 3 dimensions. It's 3-dimensional. Okay, and when we use this 3, we say cubed. Because that's what it is. It's a cube. Okay, moving on to our next part is our formula to find volume. So the formula to find volume, I'm gonna come out. Our formula to find volume move this a little bit. Close up. Sorry about that. Our formula to find volume is going to be measured in, can I do this? Sorry guys, this is somehow not working out today. There it goes. It's because of this part. Let me try turning my camera. Okay, there we go. So now, the formula, okay? What is our formula? How do we actually find how much space that takes up? It's a very simpler formula, and this is to find the volume, this V, of a rectangular prism. Now, a rectangular prism is a 3-dimensional shape that actually is made from a rectangle, okay? Okay, so it starts off with a rectangle. So we can draw this rectangle. And the same way we did the cube, we're going to draw another rectangle directly below and to the right. Okay, and then we're going to connect all the corners like that. Okay, and then we're going to tell you the formula. So the formula has 3 measurements. We have the length, we have it times the width, and we have it times the height. So these numbers could actually be, or the labels could be interchanged, but for right now I'm going to call the length this. Okay, that's the length, times my width. I'm going to call my width this part going back, okay, and then times the height. I'm just going to call how tall it is, the height, so how far it goes up. Okay, just like this. So we're going to put those words in so we remember what we're multiplying. We're multiplying the length times the width times the height. Oops. H-E-I-G-H-T. So son formas de rectángulos, pero ya tienen otra dimensión. They have another dimension. The rectangle now has an extra dimension. So es que largo, que ancho y su altura. Y vamos a multiplicar los 3. Okay. For my bottom left square, we're going to be making a practice or an example. Okay, so this is my practice or example. I'm going to call it an example. Or mi ejemplo. Okay, and my example, I'm going to draw another one. So this time I'm going to actually write down the measurements and we're going to find the volume together. So let's draw another rectangle. Vamos a dibujar otro rectángulo. Okay, vamos a dibujar otro debajo. Y vamos a conectar los así. So we drew a rectangle, another rectangle, and then we connected them from the corners. This time I'm going to write some measurements. I'm going to put 10 centimeters here. I'm going to put 5 centimeters going back. And up, I'm going to put 6 centimeters. Okay? And whenever we find the volume, I want us to always start, just like how we started area before. Remember, I would always say we start by writing the formula. Tenemos que siempre empezar escribiendo el formulario, que es length times width times height. Okay? So volume equals length times width times height. Okay? So I'm going to repeat it again. Now I'm going to input the length, which was what? Yes, 10 times the width, which was 5, times the height, which was 6. Okay? Now on my next step, I'm going to repeat again volume, but this time I'm going to multiply the first two numbers of my formula, which is 10 times 5, and that's 50. Then I'm going to include the times 6, as we haven't done that yet. Then I'm going to rewrite it one more time. 50 times 6, here's my trick, cover the 0. 5 times 6 is 30. Put the 0 back, 300. But I'm not done yet. 300 what? 300 centimeters cubed. Don't forget that now we have 3 measurements. 3 measurements, so now it's centimeters cubed. Okay, so I'm going to circle a few important things from there as well. So really important just to remember that you are labeling it with the proper measurement, and it's centimeters. And again, what does this little 3 mean? It means cubed. So I'm going to draw an arrow there and just remind you that this means cubed. That's what you would say. Okay? Now we're going to go over to some real world examples. So my real world examples are for you to finish later on. I'm going to give you 2 real life examples of rectangular prisms. So son unos ejemplos de la vida real. Ejemplos en la vida real. Okay, so some examples in real life. Maybe you can already think of some, but I'm going to show you 2, and I want you to add 2 more. Okay, so I'm going to draw a nice big rectangle, one right below it. Okay, now I'm going to connect, and let's see if you guys can guess what I'm drawing. Drawing. I think you know what this is. Gonna draw a little something inside of it. Yes, you guessed it. What is that? A fish tank. So this is a fish tank. So you might need to calculate how much water could fit inside of your fish tank in real life. Another example, let's see if you guys can guess this one. Gonna draw an upright rectangle. Draw one right behind it. Okay, connect those corners again. This time I'm going to draw a little door and a little handle here. What is this? Yes, it's a refrigerator. You might need to calculate how much space your refrigerator is going to take up to see where it could fit inside of your house. So I want you to finish this off with 2 more, real life examples. Okay, thank you.